This is a Washington Post report. Federal officers detain, tackle moped driver amid Trump DC police crackdown. Scroll down just to the reporters who are involved in this. Okay, so Dan Rosenzweig-Ziff and Katie Metler, Theo Armas, and Emma Uber. Dan Rosenzweig-Ziff is the main reporter on this, and I believe Dan is the one who took the video. Dan joins us now. Dan, thanks for joining. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. We have a little construction here going on at the studio. I'm sure you can hear the knocking, so bear with us. Dan, that was your video, correct? Was that you out there on the street?
Yes.
Dan, what happened? I'm outraged by it. I don't know. People say, I don't know what happened beforehand. I don't know the background of this man, but it just seems unnecessary.
Yeah. So what happened was I was on a run a Saturday morning in DC, turned onto our street around 14th and saw 6 federal officers detaining this man. I got there once it was already taking place, but we later talked to a witness who said that what he saw was there was 2 federal officers waiting outside Bluestone Lane as this delivery driver was going to pick up an order. And when he came out, he noticed them and started kind of running away or walking away. And they started chasing him. And that's kind of when I got there and they took him to the ground. 4 others came to detain him. And there was a physical altercation as they were trying to get him back onto the ground. One officer, another officer kind of pushed the pile to the ground, and one officer hit his head on the way down. I and other witnesses there asked, the officers who they were with, what agency they worked for, if they were with DC police or ICE, and they refused to say to me who they were with. On their way into the car to the witness across the street, one of them flashed an ICE badge, and we later heard from a DHS spokesperson that they were detaining this man who was a Venezuelan national who they said came to this country in 2013 and was ordered to be removed later that year, and had missed some court dates from some traffic crimes. We weren't able to verify any of that, and they didn't respond to our follow-up questions.
Did it seem excessive to you in any way? Because the video shows, I don't want you to editorialize, but when you were there, did it seem, was he fighting against them? Was he complying? Like what did it seem like?
Yeah, I don't want to opine on excessive or not excessive, but I don't think that, you can see in the video, he wasn't kind of just like relenting to the detention. I think he was probably worried about what was happening. So there was some resistance, but the officers also, they kind of, once he was on the ground, ripped his helmet off and seemed to strike him. We also saw that as they were trying to get him down, they seemed to use a stun gun to get him onto the ground. And then once they got him into the car, there was a little bit more of an altercation.
So as you are watching this, and because you guys are asking questions, Dan, and the agent said several things. One, they didn't care basically about what the questions they were asking. They didn't have to show their identification. And then one said, when someone in the crowd said, or someone who was videotaping said, "You guys are ruining this country," and he goes, "The liberals already have." Did you hear any of that?
Yes, I heard and saw that. Yeah, that happened, and the other witnesses' video showed that that was the response, and a couple others chimed in too with similar responses.
And what did you think of that?
I don't know. I mean, we have, there's a big focus by the Trump administration to crack down on immigration, and we're seeing an increasingly larger percentage of the arrests happening in DC from the Trump administration being immigration related. So there seems to be a focus on that. And ICE has been trying to hire more people But I don't know. We don't know exactly who these people are, and can't say what their priors are before
Yeah.
entering.
Well, look, that's the point when you say we don't know who these people are. And the folks who are out there are asking, who are these agents? Who are you with? Why aren't you? And these guys are masked. You live in DC. Most of the people who are watching us, I'm sure there are some folks, but most of the people watching us don't live in Washington, DC. And I'm wondering what it's like where you who live, you said you were coming back from coffee or a gym. I forget exactly where you said you
From
were coming
Run. Yeah.
from. And you live in this. This is a nice neighborhood. I think this is a neighborhood where La Dip is, or La Diplomat is, and it's a fairly Tony neighborhood. But that must be unsettling for people who are living in Washington D.C. And in some ways, I would assume that for people, it feels like sort of occupation, where you just have these masked people who aren't identifying themselves out on the streets. And then you turn a corner, coming back on a Sunday from a run, and this is all happening right in front of you.
Yeah, just on the mask point, when we talked to DHS, they mentioned this, and what they said, their reasoning,
About the
they said for
doxing
the
part, that's bullshit. I mean,
what?
because that the officers are being doxxed, so they had to cover their faces. Is that what you? Yeah, that's
That's what
BS.
they said.
Yeah, that's BS. I mean, look, if you're a public servant and you're a police officer, America is about transparency, and nobody knows the names of these guys and being doxxed. I think that they should, hey, um, if they want people who are out there, documented or not, and even citizens, because we've seen videotape of them asking citizens for their identification sitting on their property, then they should be able to identify themselves like other police officers that has Officer Jordan or Officer Williams or Captain Jones on their badge with their badge number. If you're going to be detaining people and demanding them to show some identification, then you, as a public servant and an officer of the court, should also be able to be identified. How do we know that they are actual agents? There are agents, people who are dressing up now as ICE agents, and they are, quite frankly, doing awful things to women. And that has been well reported. So why don't these guys, why aren't they accountable? Why can't they be transparent like they're asking American citizens to be? So that whole doxing thing makes no sense to me. I can't believe people don't push back on that with, some solid answers, some solid questions.
Hmm. I think to your question about how people in DC are feeling, I think we're increasingly seeing both, as we're walking around the neighborhoods we live in, but also in our reporting, people in DC are very upset about, a lot of people in DC are very upset about what's going on. We had a reporter and a team kind of follow law enforcement over the course of the night on Friday night, and they saw a lot of, residents kind of voicing their anger at law enforcement, telling them to go home, asking them what are they doing here. I think there's a lot of people fed up. We're seeing videos all over social media, like the one that I took of the detentions, and of people yelling at the officers, asking what's going on.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be frightening. Look, I think that what you did was really great reporting, and I mean, to have a Washington Post reporter there and witness it, I mean, as some credibility to whatever it turns out to be. And so I'm glad that you were there, Dan. So what's next? You're following up on the story. What do you have?
Yes, we will be following this. This is one incident, but we're going to definitely follow what's going on, where it goes next, who this guy was, what's happening, how the community of food delivery drivers are responding. I mean, for people who live in DC, kind of the areas where a lot of the delivery workers congregate and wait for pickup are empty, and it seems like you know they aren't going out. They're seeing things like this. So we're going to follow up on reporting and see if we can, explore further what's happening.
And just from being around, I know this is your unscientific survey. I'm going to ask you, what does a public sentiment seem to be like there for what's happening? Because I know that obviously folks in DC, in any big city, they want to get a handle on crime, because every big city has a crime problem, right? Crime is actually down in DC. But what is a public sentiment for these folks being out there? I think you talked about it a little bit, but how do people really feel?
I mean, I think, like you said, I think that there are, from our reporting, there are people that uh, are fed up with crime in DC, that in certain neighborhoods feel unsafe, and want you know to see more safety, more policing in those neighborhoods. That's some people. But I think there's also people, there's also people who are, worried about what's going on. In the food delivery driver group chats, this video is sent around, and people are nervous to go outside, or to undergo a similar fate. So I think there's both. There are people worried about crime, but also worried about what's going on with the federal officers.
Yeah, maybe not your bailiwick. What happened with Sandwich Guy? Any updates on him?
I have not been reporting on Sandwich Guy, so I don't. Last I think I saw, he was released, and I don't know what's. I wish I knew more, but
you're not covering. I get it.
I haven't been covering that.
You're focused on other things. Dan, thank you so much. I really appreciate you reporting that. I appreciate you coming on. I understand the position that you're in because you are a citizen, you witnessed it, but you're also reporting it, so you have to remain neutral. Trust me, I get it. So Dan Rosenzweig-Ziff, thank you, of the Washington Post. Please come back. We loved having you on, and our elimination also liked you as well because they're putting comments. They're saying great reporting, Dan. Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.